I was muted. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you guys are having a great week, and we are at that midway point. So, as you're looking toward the weekend, I hope that you are encouraged and able to hang in there. So, definitely jump in and say hello to me. I want to see who all's there. I can see Mabel. I know there's several of you here, so I am very excited to have you. I want to make sure I'm getting all of the seeing all my comments and all of those things as we're moving forward. But jump in, say hello, and as we get ready to get started. And I've really enjoyed reading everybody's comments. I just want to say that, and your takeaways, the things that you're learning, that just blesses me. And that's my goal. Is I want to know that as you walk away from this week, that you have tools and resources and ideas and a better understanding of this process so that you're able to help your own kids in the college process. So I'm super excited about those things, and I hope that you have all are feeling encouraged. I know that there's a lot with the college admissions process. I know that a lot of it can be a little overwhelming, especially when you're coming in at this point and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, we're just starting this process. And, it's been a couple of years of school being, awkward or not normal and trying to figure things out. And so I am hoping that you all will walk away feeling somewhat encouraged, not discouraged, by everything that's going on. So again, jump in the comments, say hello to me. Y'all are being quiet tonight. I don't see anybody saying hello, and I know you're all there because I see you. So say hello tonight, and we're going to jump in. I'm not going to waste time, but we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about uniquely you. And so yesterday I spent a lot of time really just diving in, talking about uniquely you, what that means, what it looks like, and how you can begin to incorporate that into your own students as they move forward. And so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to dive deeper into that and really begin to understand what that is, what it looks like, and how you can help your students stand out in that process. So let's jump right in. Let me get my slides moving here, and I am going to jump right in. And hello to everybody. I'm starting to see all of the comments now. So hello to Amy and to Sandra and to Mabel and Irene. Irina, welcome. Irene is one of my current purposeful parents, so it's great to see you here. It's good to see everyone there. And Ms. Debbie works with me at Education Prep Centers, and she is in the comments tonight instead of my husband. So if she'll be able to help you if you get stuck or need something. But anyway, we're ready to get going. So we're going to talk about crushing college admissions. And I'm spent the last couple of nights talking about myself and who I am. So I'm not going to cover that as much tonight, but I did want to just jump in. For those of you who don't know me, or this is your first night, I'm Dr. Gina Lester. I'm an education consultant. I have been doing this for a lot of years. I have been in education since the 80s. So that gives you a little idea of how long I've been around counseling and college admissions and those things. I've worked with kids in private, public, homeschool, and my own private business. So I'm pretty versed in all of the different areas. I am a best-selling New York Times as well, best-selling author, and I wrote a book called College Admission Secrets. And we gave one of these away last night, and I'm going to be giving some more away. And I got my will to work on screen share tonight, so we're good to go with that. This is my amazing family. My husband and I are both widows, and we found love a second time. So I tell everybody we're the modern day Brady Bunch. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. And I have, like I said, worked with so many different students. I know that if Sarah's here, her daughter is on this list. She's one of my previous families that has walked through and been attending the various different challenges and workshops and everything that I have done. And her daughter is now happily at the University of Florida. But these are all just a handful of the students over the last couple of years and where they've ended and where they're going. And I'm super excited for the class of 2022. My group coaching students are now getting those offers, and I'm very proud to say that they are literally walking away with thousands of dollars in scholarships. They're getting accepted to tons of wonderful universities. We have kids that have been recruited athletically as well. So I'll be excited to share all of their results in the coming months. So stay tuned and you'll be able to see all of those things. So let's jump into uniquely you. So the first thing I want to say is that I want you to start where you're at. So it's really easy to feel like when I'm going through this process that, oh my goodness, it's been my child's a junior. We're going into our senior year. We didn't do some of these things early. I feel like we're behind. Does that mean that we're not going to get accepted? And that's just not the case. Obviously, the earlier you start in this process, the more impact you can make. And so I have several families that have been walking through, like Irene and a few others who have been walking through this process with me in my Purposeful Parent group. And their students have definitely been diving in, understanding the process, putting those things in place. So if you're here and you have freshmen and sophomore, that's great. You can definitely start doing some things now that is going to impact the overall application. But for those of you that are juniors, again, I don't want you to panic. Just start where you're at, okay? If you can have that 4-year plan, great. If you can't, it's okay. What we do is we take what we have and we build upon that, and then we're able to go into that senior year strong. And the good news is that if you've got a junior and you're here, you have the rest of the spring and you have the entire summer. The entire summer can be a really important part of the application process for 2 reasons. One, you're starting early, you're getting things done. They're not overwhelmed, stressing out on deadlines and things to that effect. But also, they're able to really put in some plans for the summer so that they're creating additional things on their resume. Even if it is just a one-time thing that they've done in the summer, that still looks good on their resume. So there is still time to make impact, and then we can take what we have and we can build that out so that they're standing out in the process. Okay, so take an inventory of where you're at. If you're a junior and you feel like you're a student, I know there were a few people in the comments who had stated they felt like their child maybe didn't have enough leadership or enough volunteerism. So you're not going to be able to impact all of that into one summer and one school year. But what you can do is think about what's the one thing we can do that we can add in that will fill a void that we have. Okay. So what is uniquely you, in case you haven't been here or you didn't hear me before? This is like my definition of how to explain what this is, but your uniquely you is what tells admissions what makes you different from all the other smart, talented students who are applying to the same college as you are. It's not about what you do. It's about who you are. This is the cornerstone of the college application. And that is the best way for me to explain that. So even in the academics, for you that have younger students, and even for you that have juniors, look at what classes they've already taken. How can those classes tie into this uniquely you, into their majors, into their activities and all of the various things? So there is a way to actually tie your academics into your uniquely you, and that is very impactful in the college admissions process and definitely helps your student stand out in a greater way. So just keep that in mind, that is an important part. Not just the other pieces, but that academic. And even if they're not as strong in academics, there are ways to really show strength by pulling out your uniquely you and tying that back to the academics. Okay. So that's your big, definition so that you know what it is. Okay. Now, what do you want them to know? This is what do you want the college admissions counselors to know? Okay. So let's talk about what they already know. They already have, when they're looking at that, they've seen your transcript. They know your class, the classes your students taken. They know the GPA. They know their test scores if they have them. They know the core curriculum. They know everything academically, right? They also, in the basic application, have gotten your student's resume. So if your student just goes through on a Common App or Coalition app or any of the application and just states, I did this activity, I did this leadership, and they're just filling in the blanks on that application, then the college knows, okay, the student played a sport or they did this or they did that. And they may know those activities, they know how long they've done them, but what they don't know is your students' passions, your students' values, their interest. They may know, okay, they play baseball, but do they know what I guess level or depth of interest they have in that particular sport or that particular activity? Do they know about your students' character, their goals, their unique talents, their unique skills, or their impact? All of those things are what goes into the application that we have to add that rounds out your student. So if they're just making a decision based on hard, cold facts of what you just filled out in an application, they're not walking away really knowing your student. And tomorrow night, we're going to talk all about essays. Tomorrow night's a big night on essays. So I definitely want to encourage you not to miss that. It's going to be very, very important for you to hear this part of it. But the biggest mistake, kids, and you'll hear me say this tomorrow, is that they don't answer the question. They go in, they write something they think that the college wants to hear. They repeat themselves over and over. They'll pick one topic and write all essays about that. And it leaves the admissions counselor really not knowing your student. They can tell they can tell based on their academics, where they fall academically. They can tell, okay, they've been involved in activities and things like that, but they don't really know and understand your student. And so when they're trying to put together that class, they want to know these things. And that's what's really important. Sorry, guys. I have a phone going off in the background, so I apologize for that. Why is it important? So they're looking to see the depth in your application. Colleges are looking to create a well-rounded student body made up of a variety of students who have shown commitment to their interest. So find your emerging interest and grow in it. That's what the most important thing is. Be an expert in your favorite topic. That's what I tell kids all the time. Figure out what it is that you're passionate about, that you love, that you're excited about, that, they could talk all day. I had a student this year, and I loved it. The kid, the young man, he actually wants to go have a military career. And so he's talking about the military career, and we get talking, and he just starts telling me, he knows more about history than probably any teenager I've met. And he could tell, he not only knew the history, but he would say, what if, during World War II, this had happened, or what if during the fall of Rome, this had happened differently? Where would that have taken us? Where would we have been? How does that tie into this world today? And as he began sharing those things, I was like, okay, this is him. This is what he is, an expert on this topic. And of course, it just happened to tie into, where, what he wanted to do for a major and all of those things as well. But we were able to pull and talk about different things. None of his essays were the same, but definitely the admissions office knew where he fell. And I will say this too, this particular young man was not the top of his class. He had some struggles for sure. And academically, there was some concern. And so as we began to dive deep into everything that was going on, we were able to really find him the perfect college. He is going to have a military career for sure. So we're super excited about that. If, assuming that he doesn't change his mind, which don't think he is, but he is on the right path because we were able to pull those things in. And so that really, and he had the perfect college list. We knew the schools he were applying to that he would academically fit. And by building out those other things, it really made him stand out. So just remember, encourage your child. become an expert in their favorite topic, whatever that is, and that could be a couple of things. Maybe it's something they're like this young man who loved, history and those things, but maybe it's an activity. Maybe they love music and they're passionate about that. Maybe they're in the band or they're in sports or they're an artist or they sing or dance or act or any of those things. You can pull all of those things in and show your students actual expertise in those areas. So I always tell kids they're an expert at something, even if it's video games. And there are ways that we can take video games and turn that around a little bit. It's not always the best subject to talk about, but depending on their major and things, sometimes it can tie in. But we do know that they are an expert, and we want to find that thing that when they sit down at dinner, if that topic is brought up, they just will go after it. So that's what you're looking for inside of, that finding that unique thing and helping them find what makes them an expert. Okay. So as I mentioned, that our classes, that the colleges are looking for well-rounded class that's made up of uniquely lopsided students. And I say it that way because they do not want little clones of each other all walking around a campus. That would be boring. They want kids that are extroverts and introverts and a mix, and they want kids from every discipline, and they want kids from all different backgrounds and different interests and different things that they believe in. And they want the students to be able to come on the campus. So when they're and be an active member and participant there on that campus. So what they're doing when they're looking through these students, they want to find students who can contribute both in the classroom and on campus. I mean, there are always those kids that are not going to get involved, and they know that. But they really want to have the majority and as many of their students as they can when they're accepting them to want to be involved, even if it's just diving into their major, doing research. They don't have to be the extrovert person who's running for president of the university, the class president. It can be that student that wants to have that small group of friends around them and really be involved in that campus, because then they're going to stay engaged. They're going to graduate on time. They're going to go out and find careers and all of those things. So that's what's really important. Two, they want to find people that are students that are passionate about their beliefs and interests. So again, they're not looking for all the kids that have the exact same ideas and beliefs. Kids challenge each other. They should be able to have, educated conversations. They should be able to intermix with each other. And that's what they're looking for, because they want to create critical thinkers and bring that into the campus. So they want students that are reflective. And when you're doing your essay, that's an important piece. We want to show that they're reflective in those essays somewhere. Not all of them, not necessarily, but we want to talk about that in some respect. They want to know you. They want to know your student. I cannot say that enough times, and they really want to know what hardships they've gone through, what things that they're passionate about, as I said, the things that they enjoy doing, the things that make them excited, and just who they are, who they are when they're sitting around with their friends, just chatting and laughing and having a good time or watching a movie. That's the students they want to know, because then they can tell whether they're going to be a fit at their university. They want to know your child's story. Again, with the essays, we're going to talk about this a lot tomorrow, but they do want to know the kids' stories. And that's a big part of it. And they want to know what makes them tick. So just remember, those are all the things. I know I feel like I somewhat repeat myself here, but I'm doing that because it really and truly is what the colleges are looking for. And that's what makes them stand out. And when they can see that in all the various aspects of the student's application, then that's going to allow them to know better if that student is going to fit on their college campus. So where are they going to use it? So you're like, great, Gina. So we've got this uniquely we're figuring it out. So how are they going to use it? So again, they're going to use it in their entire application. So remember how I talked a minute ago about resumes, and I said, well, the colleges applications will have a place where you go in and you put your student's resume, and it'll say what activities were you involved in, what leadership, what awards, and so forth. And they go in and it gives them a place to just put that general basic information. And once they do that, that's where most students stop. But what we're going to do is actually build out a full resume where we can add in the descriptions on those applications are about 1 sentence, 2 sentences long. And you don't want to write a 10-page resume. We still want to try to keep that resume to 2 pages max, but we still want to be able to explain what's going on in that activity. What was the leadership? Maybe the leadership isn't something that's just readily seen. Maybe it was that they were going behind, maybe they're in theater and they're the ones that came in every day during a show and put show notes and encouraged all the other cast members, something to that effect. So there are things that kids do that you don't see any other place. So this gives them a place to say, I participated in theater, I was an actor, actress, I was, maybe they held a position. You can put that on there if they were a thespian, something like that. And then maybe if they didn't have any of those things, they're able to just pull out what a leadership role they did. Maybe they helped build costumes, or they did something outside the normal, and you can put that in there. So, and that can go in anything, whether they're a scientist or a musician or an athlete, or they love business, or they do teen court or whatever that might be. And again, volunteering. Sometimes kids just are, one of their main things is volunteering. And so that's what they do. So just know that that's why we're going to use it there. That personal statement essay and the supplemental essays, which I'll talk more about how to do that tomorrow. Letters of recommendation. We create letter of recommendation packets, and that's something I do with all of my students. And it's always fun because I have students that come back to me every year that say, my teacher, my counselor just told me that this was the most amazing recommendation packet they ever had, and that this really helped them write a good letter. And so I'm going to talk about letters of recommendation more on Friday when I go through the whole application process with you. But teachers are busy. They have kind of a form letter they typically use. And so what you want to do is get them to get outside of theirs. You want them to know you enough that when you present that they're able to say, oh, Susie this is her uniqueness. This is something that stands out to me. I need to put this in that letter because I see that now. And so you want to make sure that you're doing that. Interviews, some scholarships, in some universities, depending, the more competitive the scholarship, the more competitive the university, they'll have interviews, whether it's with an alumni or if it's with a counselor on site. Typically you're going to interview with alumni, just honestly. And you want to be able to, when you're having those conversations, you want to be able to show in that conversation what makes you stand out, what makes you different. And really, you want them to go back and not just fill out a standard form and say, yeah, I recommend them. But you want them to say, wow, this kid really stood out to me because of XYZ. And they saw that. Again, portfolios, scholarships, campus visits. Even when you're on the campus, always thinking about, if you're talking to an admissions counselor and you get to sit down, you're not going to say, oh, well, this is what makes me unique. But, as conversation and general conversation, being able to talk about the things that they're excited about or passionate about can be an asset that's going to make them remember you. Anywhere and everywhere. Every opportunity that you get to make a touch, from social media to the actual application to talking to somebody in person, every one of those things tie together, and you want that whole application to flow seamlessly. And I want to be able to know a student when I'm reading a cold application and be able to say, I remember them, they came into the office, or I saw their social media, they attended a virtual event, and I remember them saying XYZ or asking a specific question or something to that effect. So that's the most crucial part, is really making sure that you're threading this through. And you don't want it to be forced. I do want to say that. Some people are like, oh, let me curate this perfect application where it's all boxy and it all like, seems perfect. And that's not what they're looking for. They can tell when it's like fake, so to speak. So what you want to do is you want your child to understand themselves enough and know what those passions are, what those things that they can truly write from the heart, that they can put the information in from from their perspective, and that it's going to definitely stand out. So, that's what you got to remember. Just let it come naturally. Don't make it a forced thing. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share a few different stories. I've changed the names to protect the innocent, so to speak. But these are just a few different students that I've worked with over the years. And I just wanted to show a few ways and pull out a couple of like things that made them unique. So this is uniquely Tony. And Tony, like part of the essay that this student wrote at the bottom, I think they started their essay with this. They put, accept the challenges that you can, feel the exhilaration of victory. And they used the quote from George Patton. And then at the end of it, they began to talk about, throughout their essay, they talked about the various things that this particular student had a learning difference. They had done an outward bound expedition. You can search Outward Bound if you don't know what that is. They do all kinds of summer programs and experiences. And the student got to be the captain of a raft. And this was a really big deal. So this was a huge leadership role. And the student, when you talk to them, talked a lot about the outdoors, how much they liked the outdoors, those type of things. But in the essay, they wrote about the vastness of the canyon tossed them into survival mode, and they were so far away from anything, 100 miles from nowhere. And then so he's talking about the whole experience, what happened, obviously there was an adult on board with them, but as the leader, what they were experiencing, and you could put yourself into that moment with that student. And he went on to say that the experience gave him so much confidence in himself and his own leadership skills. And the trip challenged him to work harder and motivated him to take control of his life. And he ended that with, life is full of challenges and discoveries. And they put all forward, and all forward tied into the boat experience. But what is so unique about this and the way it was written, and this didn't just come like the first round. This was an essay we worked on a few different times and really talking through. This was not the first essay that the student was going to write about, and we talked through a lot of different things. And because the student had other challenges and they were overcoming various different things, this particular experience really talked about how, when life gives you these challenges, you can overcome them. And so that made him stand out unique in his Uniquely You. It made him really make an impression on the college admissions counselors. And this particular student was applying to, I wouldn't say he wasn't applying to Ivies, but he was applying to some fairly competitive schools, and got into all of them. I'd have to go, it's been a couple of years, but I think he got into all of them. And the school he did choose, he did get scholarships at multiple ones. And he ended up with a fairly sizable scholarship at the school he ended up choosing, and is successfully doing amazing even through the last couple of years. So I shared this just because I feel like this is such an amazing story and a way to really tie in that uniqueness and talk about something you're overcoming. So a lot of the essays one of the essay questions, it always deals with overcoming obstacles. And students will say, well, I got injured in a sport and I had to sit out of a sport, and that was really disappointing. And so I worked really hard in rehab and I came back, and then I got to play my senior year. And that is all wonderful. I mean, it's great, and that is a true story, and it's not to be belittled. I don't mean that at all. But the reality is that the college admissions office will read probably thousands of essays that deal with something similar to that. And so it's not necessarily unique to, a particular student, because it's something that a lot of students go through. And so when I'm talking to a student and we're talking about overcoming a hardship or that type of thing, if that's the essay they want to write toward, we need to find out how we're going to approach it, and approach it from a different angle, so that the student is able to share a story and they see something beyond what that traditional essay is. There are probably a dozen themes that every student, well, not every, but a large number of students write about. It's just they're high schoolers. It's kind of what they're dealing with. It's what they're going through. And it's easy for them to write about. And so we have to figure out, if they're really going to write about that, how to make it unique and how to make them stand out. And again, there are a lot of students with learning differences. And this could have been a very similar essay that just talked about learning differences and overcoming that to make better grades or whatever. And that's, again, admirable, wonderful, but it doesn't have the same impact that this particular essay had. Okay. Now, uniquely you, Ryan. So Ryan was a student when came to me when we first started working together. A junior, did not have a strong resume, did not have a lot of activities, wanted to go into business, which is very competitive, trying to figure out, what we were going to do. We started diving in. We did aptitude testing. We figured all those things out, and talked about what he could do. So he ended up joining DECA. And he did that. And I would say he actually came to me at the beginning of his junior year. So let me back up. He did come at the beginning of his junior year, but he decided to join DECA. He didn't know what that was. And for you that don't know, it's a kind of a business course, a program that a lot of high schools, provide. They actually have chapters in all of the universities, and these students compete against each other in various disciplines. And it's really a great program. If your student is interested at all in anything, marketing, business, all those things, you should check out DECA. But anyway, went into this, was kind of like, I don't know, I'll go ahead and do it, but I'm not so sure. Fell in love with it, and he ended up winning not only the local, but he also went all the way to state his senior year and won, which was huge. And he decided that he wanted to major in finance within business. So we were able to hone in that business major a little more than what we were looking at with just that broad, I want to do business. And we were able to pull in his senior year an accounting class, which he wasn't going to take. Which then tied back into his major. And so I shared this to just show that, as you start finding out, where it is your student is passionate, you do have time as a junior to figure out adding an extra course. Even if they've turned in their class schedules, typically they can make a change at the beginning of their senior year, something to that effect. If they haven't turned them in, which a lot of schools are doing right now, they can think about what would be a class that I would just be really interested in that ties into my major, or what is a club or an organization, or what kind of leadership position can I take and join or become part of that would help me out. So those are all things that help your student stand out and be unique. And a third case study, this is Amber. And so Amber was a high flyer, what we call high flyers. I mean, she definitely had strong grades, an amazing resume that just would blow you out of the water. Awards after awards. I mean, just everything. Number one in her class. I mean, she was an amazing student. And so when she first came in, she was like, I definitely want to go into STEM. This is what I want to do. I'm going to go and I want to be in the medical field. And I'm like, okay. So I still go through all of the aptitudes and all of the testing and exploration and things like that. And so she also talked about that she had wanted to join the robotics club because she thought that would be an extra little added thing her senior year onto her resume. So she joined the robotics club and so forth. So this particular student had actually started her own nonprofit. So she filed, all the paperwork, created a nonprofit, had a student led board of directors, and she started it because she was volunteering and they're at a homeless shelter, and somebody don't like CVS or somebody had donated first aid kits and there weren't enough for all of the homeless people, and it made her sad that only a portion of them could get some first aid kits. So she started her nonprofit to raise funds and buy and create first aid kits that she gave to the homeless. By the time she graduated, she was sending first aid kits overseas and still has that nonprofit in college and is growing that. So that in itself is a pretty remarkable thing. She had done overseas medical. So you can see how she had this passion for medical, right? So she showed all of those things. But as we began diving in and we started talking about it, what I started seeing from her was that what she loved about, the nonprofit she was doing was the business side, was going out, raising funds, talking to people, being in front, marketing to all of those people. She, again, when she did the overseas medical mission, she loved it, but her favorite parts were the parts where she was going out, letting people know in the community to come back. It all went back to being that person that's out there promoting, growing, building, those type of things. So she ends up doing this robotics club. She gets put on the marketing committee. So we talked about it. And so she said, well, maybe I'll try marketing instead of doing the building, because that'll give me a chance to see if that's really what I want to do. Their robot actually didn't even work at the first round, and they moved on to state because her marketing presentation scored so high. So when she came back, she suddenly realized, you're right. I don't want to, I want to do something marketing in the STEM field someday, but really marketing is where my passion is. So when we were able to create her applications, suddenly doors just began flying open for her. Obviously, she was a strong student, but she was applying to the right major. We were struggling. I mean, I was pulling out of her to get essays that went around going to medical school or doing something in the medicine in medicine or biology and those things. When she found her passion and really realized, okay, I do care about this, but this is what makes me unique. This is what makes me stand out. And we went that way. Literally, doors flew open. Of course, for lots of reasons, but she ended up with several full rides to colleges, and ended up with one that gave her a full 2 summers of international internship. So it was pretty amazing, the results she had. And would she have been successful if she'd have gone into STEM? Sure. She had a great academic. She had all those things. I don't know that she would have been as successful because her passions were not showing through. I think we see this all the time where students that are valedictorians or salutatorians or have these amazing resumes, or they've done all of these great things, they have all these awards, and they get turned down at schools, and they don't know why. They're like, why am I not getting into this university? And there's, like I said, lots of various reasons, but one of them, I think, that's really something that a lot of people don't realize is that the student isn't showing their passion and what makes them unique, and it's not all tying together. And so when they see this other student that has the passion, that's excited, they know that student's going to be on their campus. They know that student is going to be reflective. They know that student is going to get involved. All of those things we talked about, then that student is going to stand out, even if another student had stronger academics, test scores, all of those things. So you can tell I'm passionate about this uniquely you stuff. It is really important to me. So how do you discover it? You're like, Jean, okay, I love these stories. I'm motivated. This is super excited. So how does my student go out, and how do I help them discover this? So here are a few handful of things that I'm going to share. So one is try new things, especially as freshman and sophomore. Explore. I say that's your years to really go out and explore. Join a few different clubs, figure out, do you like this or do you not like it? A lot of kids will come with me. I see this a lot because there are a lot of kids that come to me that actually will have interest in a couple of different areas. And they're like, I really like this and I really like this. And I could see myself doing this and this. And so if your child's that way as a junior, then and you're heading into this application season, then maybe for the summer, they need to find something they can do in each of those different disciplines, whether it's a class, whether it's an outside activity, whatever that looks like, to really help them figure out which one do they like the most, which one do they feel more pulled to. Determine what their core values are. Help them know what is it that if they believe so deeply that if that was missing from the campus, they would be unhappy. So help them figure those core values. Make a list of words that describe them. Ask their friends, their family. Don't just ask adults. Get their friends to tell them words that describe them, because those words, they'll come back with a list. If they ask 15 people from all age brackets, they'll come back with a list of words that all are very similar to each other. Look for leadership opportunities. Obviously, that's a way to go deeper into that uniquely you and really hone in on what they love and they're passionate about. There's a free resource I want to share with you. It's called 16 Personalities. It's basically a modified Myers-Briggs, but it is free. The kids can take it. The Myers-Briggs, I think, is a great resource. It does give them a lot of information about themselves. So it's 16personalities.com. It is free. They have to sign up, but it's free for them to take. And you as parents can take it and talk about your results and read through the different characters. And it's just a really fun test. And then the Strength Finders. Now, there are things that I do with students when I work with them. I do, because of my psychology background and diving in a little more deeper. I do aptitude testing with them, which is helping them figure out what makes them tick, what makes them who they are. These are the things that they're born with. And it's the things that as parents, sometimes you see within them, you're like, yes, they're always the kid that's going to come into a group project and pull everybody together and make sure everybody gets all the things done. So you're going to see those things. And most of these tests are more like brain game type fun things that really help the kids discover themselves. And then I always tell families, there's not a single test that's going to tell your child, this is your magic career. This is your magic, major that you should be going through. Some kids, it takes a little longer for them to really figure that out. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes there is a part of college that for some kids is that exploratory part. But unfortunately, the colleges want them to pick a major. They want to know that the student really does want to major in that. And they have a higher success rate of kids graduating that come in with a solid major than students that change their major or don't know. So that's why it's all goes back to that first day when I talked about money. So just know that, if they're not 100% sure, we want to find the area of interest, the big area, whether they're a liberal arts kid or they're, interested in, maybe working, in social work or something they're just passionate about, working and helping, families that are in need. Maybe they think they want to be an engineer. They're not sure, but, engineering, math, science, the STEM, kind of figuring that part out will help them. Maybe they know they want to be an engineer. They're just not sure what kind. So it's easier to move within that discipline than it is to go, oh, I'm an English major and I suddenly want to be a engineer, or vice versa, because that's where they lose credits. And sometimes they can't get into the programs after they've changed their major, because now colleges are tightening those, bolts down so tight that the kids that are coming in are staying in those majors. And again, if they only have 100 seats in a classroom, they can't move a student in if there are 100 kids in that area already. So just know that there is always room to move, but some majors, depending on how competitive it is, it could be harder for them too. Okay. That's a lot, right? Take a breath, take a breath. I know that, um, I've shared a lot. So I turned off the wrong one. Okay, I want to take a moment and answer questions. So I'm going to give you guys, I know the video is always a little bit behind. Where I am talking. So I definitely want to give everybody a few minutes. And if you have questions, I want you to ask. I want to make sure you're clear and that this makes sense to you. I see Carolyn said great information. You're welcome, Carolyn. I'm glad that you got a lot from it. But if you have questions specifically or in general about this, then I would be glad to answer those. You can see how this now ties in to the portfolio, to all of those things. I very much believe that the college admissions process is a holistic process. And I think that it gets really difficult when our students are over here going, okay, I'm taking test prep, and they're kind of shooting for an arbitrary score in the wind. Then they're coming in, they're trying to figure out, okay, what schools am I going to apply to? And then they're putting the application together, but they don't really know who they are. And they're just going through the process and checking the boxes. And then what they've done is they've set themselves up for disappointment, because honestly, all of these things all tie together at the end to them getting accepted, to them getting scholarship money, all of those pieces. And, I'm going to talk a little bit about finances on Friday as well, because I know that's a big concern. College cost is going up. We all want our slice of the pie, so to speak. We need to lower that cost of college. And so all of these pieces tie together. So when I work with students, in my group coaching programs, any other area, I take them through every piece of this, from that figuring out that uniquely you. That's the first thing we do, to creating the college list that's right for them, because then once we know their major, we're picking the right college list. Then we know how to tie in the essays, the resumes, all of the different pieces, all the way down to the scholarships and so forth. So that's why I want to share this with you, is because it is something. It's not individual pieces like, oh, here's the test prep and here's the application, and over here I'm just going to pick a college list. And once I decide some colleges, I'm going to randomly pull out a major. And I don't think you're randomly pulling them out, but you kind of understand what I'm saying, in that if you're not tying it all together, then it's going to be very disjointed when it gets to the college admissions office. So, questions. I'll give y'all a second to see if anybody's got any questions before I draw for our books tonight. We have quite a few people on. Are your minds just spinning? Is that the deal? Y'all are all being quiet tonight. So, no questions. I'm not seeing anything coming in. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give away my book. And I'm actually going to give away 2 books, because I didn't give one away on Monday. So if I draw your name, then you're going to email me or put inside of you can send me a private message in Facebook or email me, either one, your physical address, so I can mail this amazing thing to you. Thank you, Yolanda. She said, I sit on an admission committee and you are right on the mark. I appreciate that. That means a lot. So you're hearing it from somebody who's making those decisions, that is sharing with you guys that this is really true. So it really is putting it together so that somebody like her can actually go through and make a decision and understand the student. So that's great. Thank you for that input. And you're welcome to Irina. Yes. And I know Irina's already been working with her student on the uniquely you part. So, okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. If you have questions, feel free to go ahead and put it into the chat, and I'm going to share. Look, I actually have my screen working tonight. See, I told you I had a really cute little spinning wheel. Um, so everybody who has been doing their homework, answering it, emailing me, or putting the comments inside of the Facebook group, all of those things, your name gets on the list, and you want to make sure to do that because Thursday night, tomorrow, that's tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night, I'm going to be giving away a one person will get a free admissions into my Purposeful Parent group, which is a group that's really designed for underclassmen, but I have senior parents that are in it as well, as we walk through and talk about college admissions and prepping and all of those things. And so thank you, Carolyn. I know I love the colors. I like bright colors. So, okay. So let's go and let's see who wins the first book. Ashley. If Ashley, if you are here, then I want you to say, I am here. And I don't remove you because if you win a book, you can still win tomorrow night. If your name is on here twice and you get drawn for more than one book, you only get one book. Somebody else gets the book. But Ashley, if you will send me your email, that would be great. And Miss Debbie, if you can write down her name, I would really appreciate it. And I'm going to give away a second book. So let's see who the second book's going to go to. Annie. Congratulations, Annie. Go ahead and say hello and let me know that you are here. And so we're going to stop the share. Let me see if I can stop sharing. Here we go. And go back. So, and I saw that Carolyn said let's see, who said they were here. I think it was our first winner, right? I have 2 or 3 different tech messages going. So that is great. I'm glad you're here. So send me both of the winners. If you will send me your physical addresses, I will put these in the book and in the mail to you. And congratulations for winning. That's super exciting. And again, tomorrow night. So make sure you go in. And so I do want to share that I do have, Ashley was the one I think a minute ago that said she was here, and Annie as well. So hopefully, I'm not sure if Annie's here or not. But anyway, so I wanted to share with you a couple of ways that you can get some extra points for tomorrow night, okay? And this will show up in the group. And so if you've been enjoying this and you've liked what you're doing, getting a lot of information, then if you'll go in the Facebook group, or you can email me, either way, and if you will write a testimony that just shares why this has been beneficial to you and why you would recommend it to somebody else, then you're going to get 2 extra drawings, your name in twice for that. So when you get your name in for the homework, then you can get your name in twice if you go in and write just anywhere. You don't just start an individual post. It doesn't have to be under anything. But if you do that, and then if you're super brave and you're willing to go live and do a video or record yourself on your phone doing a video of why you've enjoyed it and post it in the group, then you get your name in 5 different times. So that's a big one. I give a lot of points because I know it's not always comfortable to be on video, but it does help other people because I do these I try to do them several times a year, and it just lets other people know that it's worth attending and that they're going to get a lot of great information out of it. So I would love for you to do those 2 things. So there's 3 ways to get your name in for tomorrow night, and I'll give away 1 person entrance into the Purposeful Parent for a year. So that's a pretty big grand prize. It's definitely worth it to get your name in multiple times tomorrow. So any other questions? I don't think there's any more information. I see great people saying great information. I love Amy said she's taking multiple pages of notes every night. I love that, Amy. I'm glad. That's what I want you guys to do. I want you to walk away with great information. So, okay, cool. Well, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all here at the same time tomorrow night, and we will be giving away our big grand prize. So Can I post your information on Instagram? Absolutely. You're more than welcome to share this. Any place, share the links, those type of things. Even if you know people who want to come in late, they're more than welcome to, because they can go back and watch the replays if they missed the first one. So they can jump in right where we're at, and that's not a problem. So I would appreciate that. And thank you, Carolyn, for being willing to do that. So I would absolutely love it. Yep. And you're welcome, Maria. She said, thank you for your presentation. So you guys have a great evening, and I will see you all tomorrow night. So